I belong to the Baddest Girl at School Volume 4 review. Despite the strong start back in Volume 1, I Belong to the Baddest Girl at School has been on a downward slope ever since. With the introduction of a new character in Volume 4, the author is trying to shake things up a bit, but does it pay off? Let's find out. Here in Volume 4, we met transfer student Yodo, a girl our protagonist Onuki knows all too well from his elementary and middle school days, when she did nothing but bully him. Unfortunately for Onoki, Yodo hasn't changed at all in the time they've been apart. She quickly slips back into the statue's queue of picking on him and making an enemy of Toramaru by declaring she has feelings for Onoki. Yodo even goes so far as to threaten Onoki into not talking about her bullying, or she makes sure Toramaru, her friends, will get in trouble with the school. Because of this, Onoki promises to keep quiet, provided Yodo keeps her hands off Toramaru, which she agrees to and leads to Onoki being the sole target of her bullying for the remainder of the volume. Meanwhile, Toramaru doesn't understand why Onoki is putting so much distance between them, and things only get worse when her brothers Tasoko gets excited about Toramaru having a rival in love. Yotaka and Matsuri keep their distance for the situation for most of the volume, which means Toramaru has no real support for how to handle all this. When Toramaru later learns of Onoki's deal with Yodo, she's thrown even further into turmoil. I'm going to say up front that I absolutely hated this volume to the point of being done with the entire series. I was hoping the introduction of a new character will refresh things, but Yoda is a terrible addition. There is certainly a world in which you could bring in Onoki's bold bully and deal with it seriously, but author Oi Kashima doesn't handle it particularly well. It doesn't help that a lot of what Yodo is doing gets presented in the comedic light. But should it be she's putting tracks on his shoes, vandalizing his desk, threatening him, and by the end of the book, she even kidnaps and ties him up. Yoda has a rotten personality, but none of the characters, besides Onoki and Toramaru, recognize and will do anything about it. There's even a section where Tasuko comes to their school and sees firsthand how Yoda is threatening Onoki, but it doesn't do anything either. I don't think it might such matter the author had decided to stick to this being a comedy arc or a serious arc, but the artwork representation of a flip-flop from chapter to chapter, making an inconsistent mess by the end. Bullying is a serious topic that preferred to be handled serious, and I Belong to the Baddest Girl at School just doesn't deliver on that and all for anything redeemable from this arc. It does not help that Yodo seems to be sticking around among the cast beyond this volume too, despite the story arc being more or less over and the resolution being subpar. I Belong to the Baddest Girl at School Volume 4 comes to the West thanks to One Piece books and continues to be translated by Emily Balistreri. The translation reads well with no issues to note. Volume 5 is currently scheduled for English release in October, with its sixth and final volume following December. Overall, I Belong to the Baddest Girl at School Volume 4 proves a disappointing read that doesn't improve things like a hope, and instead it leaves a bitter aftertaste. It's getting increasingly difficult to recommend this one, and I fear this is the final nail on the coffin for a lot of readers, which is a shame, given the promise it showed early on. 4 out of 10.